Yeah, they tune in, it's the Dude Bash rolling deep. Mic check like that, fine, let's hit a beat. Voices flowing like the river, knowledge on the spree. Every episode of Journey, come ride with me. Just hit play, it's a vibe, can't you see? The Dude Bash, we breaking it down. From the underground to the top of the town. Life's effects, intertwined, wearing the crown. Podcast kings and queens, we wearing the gown.
All right, so a bit of a different topic tonight. We're going to talk about strange coincidences. Now, some of these things will actually blow your mind, and the main one I want to talk about, and we'll try to get into some others here, but it's the coincidences surrounding Abraham Lincoln and JFK. I've got a list here in front of me, and I'll read off 4 or 5 of these things. There's probably 30 things altogether, but we'll see what you guys think about this. It says both presidents were elected to their presidency in the 1860 and 1960, so 100 years apart. Both presidents were elected to the United States House of Representatives in 1846 and 1946. Both were runners-up for the party's nomination for vice president in 1856 and 1956. Both successors were Southern Democrats named Johnson, born in 08. I guess that's 1808, 1908. Let's see what else we got here. Both presidents were shot in the head. Both presidents were shot from behind. Both presidents were shot in the presence of their wives. Both presidents were shot on a Friday. Both presidents were accompanied by another couple.
And Kennedy was shot while he was riding in a Lincoln.
Absolutely. It says Lincoln was shot at Ford's Theater. Kennedy was shot in Lincoln's automobile, in a Lincoln automobile made by Ford.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. Let's see here. Lincoln had a secretary named Kennedy who told him not to go to the theater. Kennedy had a secretary named Lincoln who was born 100 years after Lincoln and whose husband Harold's nickname was Abe, who warned him not to go to Dallas. So, I mean, I don't know what we think about these things, but, is this kind of like, Matt, is this synchronicity, or is this, just I don't see how something like this can be all coincidences, because this is a lot of stuff as far as like strange, relationships. Yeah.
Well, and the thing you got to look at when you look at Carl Jung, when he talked about synchronicity, he was not talking about just random coincidences. He was talking more about the universe lining up. Like if you're thinking about a song that you haven't heard in, let's say, 20 years, like a random weird song, and then you're thinking about it, and then you hear it going into a grocery store. That's the universe at play. And I think with the Kennedy and the Lincoln thing, I don't think it's coincidences. I think that's a universal message that came out to those two men. Those two men are inextricably connected somehow in the fabric of time and space.
They have to
How,
be.
I don't know. But I do think it's synchronicity that bound those two guys together to line up everything. But is it just a coincidence? No, I don't believe in coincidences, because I believe every interaction you have, everything you run into in your life, it's meant for you to do. So I really believe that these two men and all those things that you listed, I believe that is synchronization, that it is not just random coincidences, that there's more to it than just, oh, hey, it's a coincidence.
Right. It's definitely weird. I don't know, maybe it's a history trying to repeat itself. Travis, what do you think? You seem to be interested in this. What do you think it all means?
Hell, I don't know what it means. Some of it's just bad luck, but I know that in order for John F. Kennedy to even go into politics, his oldest brother had to die in World War II. He was a pilot, and he had to die in order for John F. Kennedy daddy to even allow him to go into politics, because he was
Really?
his first son was the chosen one. You know, he was a pilot and all this, and he was the one that Joe Kennedy wanted to put the family name on the map with. He died, and John F. Kennedy was in the Navy, and his ship had got pretty much destroyed, and he had to swim like, I don't know, 3 or 4 miles or something, maybe more, to an island, and it had messed his back up real bad. And so they didn't even think that he'd ever learn how to walk again or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know,
Dang.
so his dad's just kind of like, well, I guess you'll do. You know, so
Yeah, and John Kennedy, if I remember, also had Addison's disease, which also contributed to his back pain too, because it was something that's an inflammation around the kidneys or something like that.
yeah, he had to wear
Causes a lot.
braces. He had to wear
Mhm.
braces everywhere, and that's why every time you saw him and his brothers on video, they were outside throwing football, because that was a physical sport. And they
Mhm.
thought, well, if he's out here throwing football, he's not hurt. He's healthy, you know.
Oh,
But
okay.
it worked, and it worked to his advantage too, because one of the side effects of Addison's is that it kind of gives your skin a little bit of a tan looking color.
Really?
Yeah, it kind of gives you like a fake tan, and that worked out because when he was on TV with Nixon, here was this young, good looking, kind of looks a little bit darker skinned, and they said Nixon looked so pale, looked like he was glowing on TV with under the cameras or under the
Yeah,
No
lights.
doubt.
yeah, he was sick already, and the cameras, the heat from the lights was making him sweat, and hell, it was smearing his makeup and everything.
Yep.
Dang, man. I'm just trying to wrap my head around this, because a lot of these things we're going to talk about tonight, you can say, oh, that's weird. But I counted, there's 33, tie-ins to each other, and they're both exactly 100 years apart. That's just got to be some otherworldly juju working that right there, man, because that's just crazy.
Well,
That's
it's
just crazy.
supernatural stuff at play, because if you think about it, we know when we look at supernatural, or when people say the word supernatural, it's always equivocated with ghosts and shit like that. Supernatural basically means it's anything that's beyond nature.
Yes.
So I think that there's something supernatural, which is what I believe is in synchronicity. I believe that there's something bigger at play there.
You
And
know,
that's
we
with
all,
any coincidence. That's with any coincidence out there that happens in your daily life. It's like lined up for you to be like. Let's say, for example, Corky or Dusty or Travis, you guys are supposed to be somewhere on time, and you walk out the door and you're like, man, damn, I forgot my keys. And you go back in and get those keys. That moment, those seconds or minutes in time where you had to go back in and get those keys may either lead you to an accident or may lead you to where you avoided an accident.
exactly.
Did
So
you guys
I
ever
think-
hear the?
Go ahead, Dusty.
I was just going to say, I don't know if you guys ever read the story. I just remembered it while you were talking, Matt. But real quick, there was a story happened years and years ago. There was a church that was going to have they had choir practice on Sunday nights, and choir practice was supposed to start at like 7 o'clock or something like that. And all the members of the choir were late. Well, at 7:01 or 7:02, something like that, the church, the gas line, somebody left the gas on, and the church blew up. And everybody had been running late at that time. And
That
all
is
33 members of the church were late, and it was the one time it happened.
And that's what I'm talking about with synchronicity and stuff like that. It's not a coincidence that this stuff happens. There's something bigger, whether it's God, whether it's something just in the fabric of time and space itself. I don't know.
You know what I
think-
think it is? Go ahead,
What is it?
Travis.
I think some of it's just bad luck, though.
I'm
No,
sure a lot of
Fran-
it is. Yeah.
Well, Franz Ferdinand, he was the Archduke of Austria or something. He was giving a parade over here in Serbia, something like that, Hungary, somewhere over there. Anyway, so his driver takes the wrong turn. All right. Well, he happens to get shot on that wrong turn by a guy from Serbia. Well, the guy from Serbia was trying to get over to the the right road. Somebody told him the wrong street that the parade was going to come down. So he just happened to be on the wrong street that the damn driver, Ferdinand, took him down. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's pretty bad luck.
Yeah,
there
that's
was a group
definitely
of
bad
them.
luck.
There was a group of them. They were trying to assassinate him that day, and they missed. And so this guy wanders onto the street. He's sitting at a sandwich shop, and like you said, Travis, here comes the car with the Archduke in there, and dude happened to have his gun, and he jumps in there, boom, boom, and shoots him.
Now the consequences of this was World War One, was because he got killed, and that's what set off World War One. All because the damn driver didn't know where he was going, and this guy got tired and pissed off. I'm gonna eat a sandwich, and here he comes down the wrong road. You know.
But does that go through predestination? Because if you look at Abraham Lincoln, you look at Kennedy, those guys obviously were destined to be great men, but their destinies, just like with everybody else, whether you're a homeless man or like an Elon Musk or something, your destiny puts you on a track. Are you meant to die a certain way, or do you think it's just all random?
Well, I mean, have you ever heard of Violet Jessup? I think's her name. Violet's her first name. All right, she was on 3 unsinkable ships.
Oh, yeah.
The Britannic, the Olympic, and the Titanic. That bitch was on all 3 of them.
Wasn't she a nurse?
Yeah. Now, that's got to be bad luck, unless she was the one that was sinking these ships,
Right. Well, I've
is
got
it
one
bad
here.
luck, though?
Yeah, it's got to be.
But she survived.
Did she survive all 3 of them?
Look how many people died for her to be able to survive these 3 damn unsinkable ships.
Maybe it's like this. Did she survive all 3 of them?
Yeah, she survived.
Okay, maybe it's not bad luck. Maybe she just got real good luck.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't know.
Just like,
Go ahead,
Molly Brown. That was Molly Brown. She survived the Titanic, and then a few years later, she survived the Lusitania whenever it was torpedoed.
Right.
And
did you ever hear about the 2 guys? They were twins up in New York City. They were window washers, and the damn scaffolding broke, and they fell like 50, 60 stories, and they hit the ground at the same time. One twin survived, and the other one didn't.
Wow.
That's bad luck. Bad
luck. Tell me if you think this one's bad luck or good luck. Now, this one's called, they call this one the bullet and the grave. It's in 1914, a French soldier named Henry Ziegland narrowly avoided death when a bullet fired by his ex-girlfriend's brother grazed his face and lodged in a tree. The brother, believing he had killed Ziegland, took his own life. In 1920, Ziegland decided to remove the tree from the property and use dynamite to do so. The explosion dislodged a bullet, which struck and killed Ziegland in a bizarre, delayed act of fate. Now, that's bad luck.
Yeah, that's terrible luck.
Think about this, though. Let's look at that in the supernatural aspect. If we're looking at synchronization and apply it to that, maybe that's how he was supposed to die.
That's kind of like some Final Destination stuff right there.
He was on some borrowed. That was a lot of borrowed time. He must have had a hell of a credit score.
That's like the Lord said, look, man, you got to go, but I'm going to give you a few more years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm going to give you a little clemency for about 20 years.
Yeah.
But that's crazy, though. You think about that. God, man, that's like being that's I don't know. That is.
Well, this one might be considered synchronicity or whatever it is you said it was, synchronicity, or it could just be coincidence, whatever. But John Adams and Thomas Jefferson both died on the same day. One was in Massachusetts, the other one was in Virginia, but it happened to be on the 50th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence.
Oh yeah.
Both died on the 4th of July.
They both died July 4th, 1826. And Thomas Jefferson had died first. Of course, John Adams didn't know that. And when John Adams died, his last words were, "Thomas Jefferson lives."
What?
Yeah.
Golly bun.
They didn't like each other there for a good portion of their lives.
Well,
Did you guys ever hear about that? Did you guys ever hear about that forest ranger in Canada? And the guy's been dead for a while, I think. But he was talking about bad luck. The guy was
R.I.P. baby.
struck by the guy was struck by lightning something like 6 or 7 times in his life.
Didn't his grave get struck too after he died?
Yeah, and a lightning bolt split his tombstone after he was dead.
Man,
I think
somebody trying.
I think it was Roy Cleveland from West Virginia. He was a park ranger, and he got hit by lightning 7 different times.
Dang,
The only thing
something
that ever
wanted him
happened is
dead, man.
Even
But
after he was dead.
how do you see? And that's where I say another thing you had to apply supernatural to. How do you explain that? To be hit by lightning 7 times, nobody could
Dude,
ever explain that.
I don't
No,
think you can explain that.
He made Zeus mad, is what happened.
Yeah, he pissed off somebody up there. You know what I'm saying?
Thor trying to take him down.
Yeah.
Back taxes. He owed back taxes.
All right, you guys ready for another one?
Yep.
All right, this one's called the Twin Tragedy, and this one happened in 2002, so it's relatively new. 2 identical twin brothers were killed in separate accidents along the same road in Finland. Now, it happened just 2 hours apart. The 70-year-old brothers were both riding bicycles when they were struck by trucks. Authorities were astonished to find that the accidents occurred only 1.5 kilometers apart and had no connection to one another, making it a truly eerie coincidence. Well, at 70 years old, you don't need to be riding a bike in Finland, I'll say that. They should have been at the
I don't know if
house.
that was bad luck. It was just stupidity.
Yeah, that was like, are you trying to die? I mean,
If
come
the
on.
truck hadn't, if that Chevy hadn't got him, it'd have been a coronary heart attack. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, that's crazy. All right, here's another one. It's called the Hoover Dam victims. Y'all ever heard of this one?
Oh yeah, I have heard.
It says the construction of the Hoover Dam took place between 1931 and 1936, claiming the lives of 112 workers in various accidents. The first worker to die during construction was J.G. Tierney, who drowned on December 20th, 1922. Dang, they was working them right up to Christmas, baby. Come on.
It probably
Anyhow,
worked on Christmas.
Probably did. Anyhow, it says in a chilling twist of fate, the last worker to die during the project was J.G. Tierney's son, Patrick Tierney, who also died on December the 20th, 13 years later. Man.
Yeah, man. And you know what really sucks is somebody they was working with probably ate their lunch that day because they was like, man, he ain't gonna need it.
Oh, they probably worked overtime that day, man. They didn't stop for him.
We still
guarantee
working tomorrow,
that.
ain't we, boss?
Yeah. I mean, it was December 20th. You ain't gonna shoot. Come on now.
That's on
Crap.
Matt's birthday there.
It is.
Yeah.
Thank you, Travis.
Yeah. I got a good memory, buddy.
All right, y'all ever?
Yours is like 22nd.
Yeah, mine's 22nd.
Y'all both born in December?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Lord
me
Jesus,
and
May
both were.
22nd.
Boy, I bet y'all's birthday sucked growing up, didn't it?
My
Yeah,
Christmas
kinda.
has sucked. What you talk about?
Well, here's what Mom always did. She's like, what I'll do is I'll let you open a Christmas present early. I was like, all right, cool. Cause no. You got to open this one. Like, why I got to open you? It's my birthday. I can't pick. No, you got to open it. It was always a jacket. Like,
Yeah,
I
pack
knew
of
not to
underwear.
pick the big one because it's going to be a jacket. Mom always got me a jacket for my birthday. You got to wear this because it's going to be cold for the next 3 days. I know you ain't going outside. You got to have this jacket. All right. So,
All right. See, let me look at another one here. All right, Mark Twain. You ever heard of Mark Twain and Haley's Comet?
yeah, he was born with it and died with it, right?
Yeah, I guess that's how it goes. Let me read it. It says the renowned American writer Mark Twain was born on November 30th, 1835. I thought he was from back in the day, longer than that.
No.
Anyhow, the same day Haley's Comet made its closest approach to Earth, Twain famously predicted that he would go out with the comet upon its next return. Remarkably, he died on April 21st, 1910, just 1 day after the comet's next closest approach, fulfilling his prophetic statement. Now, see that's I guess maybe you just know when you're going to die. I don't know. I don't know that I'd call.
He might have eaten some belladonna too, man. You don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'd call that a coincidence. Maybe some foreshadowing or something like that, but I don't know.
I mean,
Well, William Shakespeare died on his birthday. I always thought that was kind of weird.
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, I don't think if you sit there and guess that you're going to die when a comet comes back around. I mean, that's just kind of saying that's just coming out saying, yeah, I'm going to die like I'm going to die on Halloween, you know, and then
I think maybe
it
he
only
was just
comes-
hoping to live long enough to see it again. Maybe he was just
Well, I
hoping
mean,
to live that long.
yeah, it only comes around every 75 years, right?
yeah,
Haley's
it
Comet.
does.
I mean, that's a
The
hell of
last
a
time we
prediction.
saw it here, I think was '86, wasn't it?
Yeah, I remember
I
seeing
remember
that
being
through
a
the
kid
telescope.
watching it.
Yeah, I saw it through the telescope at Edward City School.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
remember
didn't
being
see
a
it.
kid.
I must have missed that one. I didn't see
Maybe
it.
you'll live to see the next one.
Yeah, probably
I'm
not.
not gonna be there.
I probably won't. I probably won't live to see the next football season. Who knows?
Sunrise.
Yeah, yeah. I
So,
probably won't see the next tick of the clock.
I'll probably be busy when Haley's Comet comes back around. I'll probably be like, God, it's hot in here. What the hell?
Trying to get this drink of water. You know what I'm
That
saying?
son bitch is on fire over there.
Okay, let me see. All right,
Lighting
the
a cigarette
repeated.
off the flame.
Yeah, they're gonna have Marlboros in hell. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, I'll be able to save my thumb on lighting them
No,
lighters.
it's hell. It'll be Pall Malls.
Yeah, unfiltered.
Hey, listen.
The devil will
I
be
can't
wearing
afford-
those. The devil will be wearing the Marlboro Miles jacket.
Hey, I can't afford Pall Miles, buddy. This is LD, son.
Dang.
What the hell does LD stand for?
Limited dicks, I guess. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, at least you're sucking on them. I'll give you that.
Yeah. They're a bit smoky.
Don't forget to inhale.
I'm not Bill Clinton. I'll definitely inhale it.
I'll suck it all the way down, buddy. I ain't wasting an inch of it.
To my
Okay.
fingernails.
God, I wish we could save audio. That would be perfect.
Oh man. Let me see. Where I got on Travis sucking on a cigarette. Now where am I at? This one's called The Repeated Encounter. In the early 1900s, a woman named Anne Parrish stumbled upon a book titled Jack Frost and Other Stories in a Parisian bookstore. She excitedly told her husband that the book had been a childhood favorite of hers. Upon closer examination, the couple discovered that the book was in fact the very same copy that she owned as a child, complete with her own inscription inside the cover. Praise God, man. That's just good luck right there. What y'all think?
It is.
Yeah,
I'll,
I mean that's kind of weird.
But is
So
it
probably-
good luck though? Do you think it's good luck or bad luck, or you think, like I say, go back again? Is it just that's just the way it was meant to be?
Well, first off, let me ask this question. Where is a Parisian bookstore? Where's that at?
Paris. It's in Paris.
Is it in Paris? So that's
Yeah.
a pretty big place.
Yeah.
So I was thinking maybe
And that's
it
a
was
lot of time, depending on how old she was when she found it. I mean, she was already
1900s.
married. I mean, that's
So
it
is
had
it-
to pass through a lot of people's hands in order for it to get back there, and her just happened to pass by it.
So it was probably sold in a yard sale or something like that. And man, I mean that the odds of that happening ain't too good, but you know, it ain't nothing like the Abraham Lincoln JFK thing. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
because I had a Gibson SG stole from me, and I've searched every pawn shop I've ever seen. I still ain't seen that damn thing.
You know, that's sitting in somebody's closet right now. Ain't been touched in 10 years. And it's
Oh.
probably got the neck broke on it or something like that.
I'd be okay. I'd still take it.
It's probably sitting right next to that Gibson S1 I pawned for $100, you know, about 35 years ago.
Yeah, what a loser. I got out of the Navy. He's like, hey, man, you still got that Gibson? You want to sell it? No, I sold it at the pawn shop for like $13, man. I was like, you sack of shit.
You know what was funny about that guitar? And I thought you was with me when I pawned it, Travis. Maybe it wasn't. So anyhow, I go pawn it, right? And they give me $100, and I think I got a couple CDs with it in there. You know, you could buy CDs for $5 a piece. But anyhow, I go pawn it, and then I go in there like a month later to, you know, buy another guitar because I, you know, wanted the guitar, and they had it behind the freaking counter in a glass case displayed. And I knew right then I had got screwed because they took they gave me a freaking $100. Ain't no telling what it was worth.
Oh, it was a 58 or a 59. I remember the first and fifth digit on it. That's how I knew how old my Gibson SG was, and I think it was a 58 actually. So it was 1958.
God.
It
Courtney,
wasn't a Les Paul.
where'd you get that guitar at?
I traded a white guitar to what was his name, Travis? Eric. Y'all remember him? He got cancer in high school.
Oh,
Eric
yeah,
Milton.
Eric Melton.
Eric Milton.
Yeah, I traded the guitar to him and $100 for it, something like that.
You know, me and Eric Melton, the Halloween night, me and him, and it was the most random thing because we were sitting in math class, and I mean, we weren't really friends, you know. We talked, but you know, we weren't really friends. This is before he got sick. He's like, "Hey man, what are you doing this Halloween?" And I said, "Probably nothing, man, because I think all y'all were gone or something, doing whatever." And he's like, "Do you want to go like ride around for Halloween? Go to like Booger Hill down in Charleston?" And I said, "Yeah, let's go." So his girlfriend and I was dating Renee at the time. We all went down there and did that. And I was like, "This is crazy." So we just rode around the rest of the night.
Seems like I remember that happening, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I used to ride through town with him every now and then.
Yeah, it was just a weird experience. It was a good experience because we went to Kmart and bought a bunch of Halloween candy because we was eating it. You know, all of us were eating it in the car.
Yeah.
But really, it's a really cool Halloween memory I had, but with an unlikely person.
Yeah, he and I got pretty close there for a while. When he was sick in the hospital at Vanderbilt, he called me one night at home, and we always would talk about Metallica because you know he was a big Metallica fan.
Yeah.
And he called me at home, and he was like, "Yo, man, I'm up here at the hospital, and Metallica's playing up here, man." He goes like, "We should go to it." And I was like, "Yeah, man," because you know back then ain't nobody had no money to buy no Metallica tickets, you know, let alone drive to Nashville to watch them, you know. But yeah, I never will forget that. I wish we would have got to go to that concert. That would have been cool, you know.
Yeah.
So
Well, he was best friends with the feller where my guitar was when it went missing.
yeah, I remember all that went down. First off, let's just be straight. It didn't go missing. It went in somebody's car and went to their house.
And I'd say he probably bought a pack of cigarettes with the money because they had to walk by at least $1,000 worth of drum cymbals. They even took the $400 leather strap that I was borrowing from Jason Stewart off of it. So they left it. They wasn't in a hurry. Clearly, they didn't take the $1,800 guitar amp it was leaned up against. You know.
Yeah, that'd be too much to load in the car. They wanted something quick.
Well, right, but he's like, well, we filed a police report. Well, Dad was a cop. He said there ain't been no police report filed here or in the county. Like, oh, okay, that's cool. You know.
I'd said that's funny. The police report didn't come talk to the owner of the property about it then.
Yeah,
you know. Crazy, man. Let me think here. Let me get back to this. Now, I don't think this is a strange coincidence. I think this is just evidence of time travel, and we can get on that subject. But in 1941, a photograph was taken during the reopening of the South Fork Bridge in Canada. The photo features a man who appears to be wearing modern clothing and sunglasses, leading to speculation that he was a time traveler. Now, despite attempts to debunk the theory by arbitrating the man's appearance to the fashion of the time traveling hipster remains a popular subject of discussion and debate. Y'all seen that picture before?
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, one of the things was the shirt he had on was like a whatever the front of it, you know, where you put stuff on a shirt. They say they couldn't do that in 1941. So they said the shirt he's got on could not exist in that time. So, you know, I personally believe in time travel, so I think that's what it was. I don't think that was a coincidence, you know.
Yeah, but why would they go to something like that if they're time traveling? You know what I mean?
Well, here's like this. We don't know who this guy was. Maybe that was the day his mom and dad met and got married, you know, or his grandma and grandpa, and he was just wanting to sit there and do a little spying on them, you know what I'm saying? See what it was like.
Look, hey, now listen, I have, like, I've considered this, like, I'd like to go back in time and I never got to meet my grandpa. I'd like to go back, just run into him somewhere and talk to him. Then the more I think about it, you couldn't tell him, "Hey man, I'm your grandson from the future," because then he'd just beat the shit out of you. You know what I'm saying? Because Papa didn't play around, according to Dad. So from the future, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it went over good.
I'd like to go back in time and walk up on my sperm donor of a dad and just kick him in the nuts and not give him a reason why, and then just walk back off.
Yeah,
and that way maybe
then you'd probably come out. You'd be born with some kind of tism.
Dang, yeah.
Kick him in the nuts.
Yeah, you're probably right. Have a little
Kick him in the
tism.
nuts right, you kick him in the nuts right before he conceives you, and you come up with some kind of birth defect.
Dang, or I kick him in the nuts and then he don't go do anything that night, and I just fade away, baby.
Or you end up in a napkin somewhere.
Come out looking like Quasimodo. It's Corky Moto.
God.
I think the time travel thing, I mean, I don't think time travel is possible. I mean, it is into the future because we know you can go, light years ahead. You can't go backwards. We know that scientifically. We know that. But, I mean, I think it's a cool idea. It'd be great, but I mean, I don't know how you explain that. I can't explain that.
Well, didn't he say, at least in theory, time travel is possible? I don't know if it's forward or back or whatever, but
it's definitely possible forward because he did the whole theory of relativity. You can go forward. Like if you were to go, and I don't know.
It's not. It's forward in relativity to everything else, because when a proton comes out of the sun, it moves at the speed of light, and it takes 8 minutes and 20 seconds to reach Earth. Well, it has no concept of time for that 8 minutes, 20 seconds. Like time don't exist to light because it's going the speed of light. So the only way to go, so if you're going, like if you're on a spaceship going the speed of light, you want to go to Saturn or some shit. Okay. All right. Time does not move forward for you, but for everybody else, it's going faster. So when you get back, it's going to be like 85 years later, even though it's just been a few minutes for you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's what the theory of relativity says.
Yeah. Well, have y'all ever heard of the Philadelphia experiment? Now, this is documented. Have y'all heard about it? That's where they took a Navy ship. And I remember listening to this guy tell all about it on Art Bell. He talked about it for 3 hours, but they took huge magnets, spun them, and this guy, he stepped in and I think they went forward in time. And he stepped in this vortex, and he was in all he could see was clouds around him, right? And then all of a sudden, I think he was in the year 1984, and I think all this took place, 20 years earlier,
Not as before that is 1940.
1943.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1943. So they claim, and when they were walking around, they were like, "Where we at?" They were on an Army base. And these guys come up to him that were a lot older, and according to this guy, they were like, "All right, man, are you so and so?" And they're like, "Yeah, we've been expecting you." So they took them and debriefed them and all this other stuff. Then they sent them back or something like that. But anyhow, this is an actual U.S. military experiment. I mean, the Navy's shady on facts about it, but according to this guy that Art Bell interviewed that night, he was there, and he even said because the ship disappeared. And when they stopped the machines, it reappeared. And he said there were people stuck in the walls and the floors of the ship, I guess, where they were like in between, dimensions and stuff like that.
And those are steel. And those are made of steel.
Yeah. And it said people, when the ship reappeared, they would be in the wall or in the floor. Half their body be hanging out and half their body be in the floor. That it was real gruesome. Dusty, you heard about that?
Yeah. The part I heard that witnesses report that the ship, which was docked in Philadelphia, I think, and I may be wrong, but it was docked somewhere up north, but it appeared in Virginia for a moment, and then it disappeared again.
Yeah.
that they could confirm. They could see the numbers on the ship or whatever. They could confirm that that ship was there in Virginia, but it was docked like in Philadelphia and New York, somewhere like thousands of miles away, and there's no way it could have made it there.
Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy. And to hear this guy talk about it, and usually you can listen to somebody and you can tell, oh, this guy's full of crap. He's telling lies. This guy was saying stuff and you could tell he wasn't making it up, man. So I kind of put a lot of, there's no telling what kind of experiments the military's done, man. And
Well,
maybe
CIA in the 60s was trying to do remote viewing, where they were trying to get people that they thought that had psychic ability and trying to get them to where they could see what Russia was doing in the Cold War.
they don't even deny that either. That's a legit program. Yeah, that's a legit program. There was a guy on Joe Rogan's show just the other day and talking about it, and just according to him, they're still doing it, and there's people that can actually do that.
Well, see, here's another question: if you can see the future, that implies that the future is already written.
Mm-hmm. Or that, well.
I mean, think about it. If you can sit there and predict something that's going to happen, that means it's already there. We just ain't caught up to it yet.
Well, according to the Bible, it kind of is.
Yeah, he already knows your days, so.
So that goes back to the predestination thing with Abraham Lincoln and Kennedy, where everything is just meant to happen.
Well, here's what I think about the Abraham Kennedy thing. I believe in God. I think God's got a sense of humor. You know what I'm saying? So, how we talk about movie remakes and stuff like that. I think that was just a remake by God.
He just lets different angels direct.
Yeah, I think he thought, man, I done good on Abraham Lincoln. I done real good. I'm gonna do that one again.
Hey, here's one thing that they don't have in common. John F. Kennedy he's not in the Pro Wrestler Hall of Fame like Abraham Lincoln is.
Yeah, I know.
It's true.
Yeah,
He's JFK's in the Sexual Hall of Fame.
That's why I started saying he never got Happy Birthday sung to him by Marilyn Monroe either.
Yeah. No, he didn't, because Mary Todd Lincoln was nothing to look at all.
No.
Speaking, I'll say this. I believe that the government killed Marilyn Monroe. I'll leave it at that.
Hell yeah. I'm sure
absolutely.
they did too. Hell, she screwed every Kennedy up there.
Yeah, there was some shady stuff around that. That's another podcast.
I'll tell you what's scary about that. I'm huge into the JFK stuff. Huge into it. I'm going to do a side quest here for a second. I won't take.
Let's go on it, baby. I love side quests.
Okay, back when Jack Ruby was arrested, he was sitting in Dallas jail, right? Well, there was a TV show that was back in the early '60s, late '50s, called "To Tell the Truth," and there was a lady on there called her name was Dorothy Kilgallen. She also used to be a writer for, I want to say it was the New York Post or the New York Times. It was one of those big newspapers up there. One of her friends was Jack Ruby's girlfriend. She calls Dorothy Kilgallen from Dallas and says, hey, Jack Ruby has got a story to tell, but he'll tell you. She flies down to Dallas, gets Jack Ruby's story, and Jack Ruby tells Dorothy Kilgallen everything that happened. Dorothy Kilgallen goes back to New York, tells her editor that she's got a story, and her editor's like, I don't know if we can do this because this is pretty bad. So they're talking about it. She goes home to her apartment. The next day, she's found dead.
Yeah.
And that is legit. That is in the books. That is legit.
Yeah, that's
shady. They never found out who killed her either.
No, because it made it look like she had been abusing pills.
Yeah.
Just like it was with Marilyn Monroe. But Marilyn Monroe had been abusing pills, is from what I understand and read, but that's not what killed her. The reason all this got found out, because there's a writer that had been covering the JFK assassination by the name of Mark Lane. He was a lawyer who had a personal connection to Kennedy because Kennedy helped him get elected in Brooklyn as one of the councilmen. And Mark Lane was like, look, I'm just going to do like 4 years of this and then I'm done and I'm going to go back to being a lawyer. So when Kennedy got assassinated, he took it personal. Lee Harvey Oswald's mom contacted Mark Lane and said, I need you to help me get my son's name cleared. That's how Mark Lane got into the whole Kennedy assassination, because he told Marguerite, if your son did it, we're going to prove it. If he didn't do it, we're going to prove it.
Right.
So if you read Mark Lane's 3 books and you go online on YouTube and watch all his lectures, he is like, to me, he is like the authority on all that stuff.
Yeah, I think, and now he's still alive, right?
No, he died. He died several years ago.
Oh, did he? I think it was a guy that he was either one of the investigative police officers or detectives or something. But Joe Rogan had him on probably last year sometime, and he told all about it, man. And yeah, there ain't no doubt in my mind there was some shady work going on right there. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's scary because they didn't anticipate Abraham Zapruder to be filming it.
Right.
That was the one thing that nobody really thought about, that somebody was going to be out there filming it. And
Exactly.
there was I was watching this documentary. There was this 88-year-old Secret Service guy who said that when they got the Zapruder film, they took it into an airport hangar in Dallas and watched it. He said the one that we saw as the public years later is not the one that they watched in the airport hangar.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he said he testified to the Warren Commission about that. He said because the video we saw, the footage we saw, showed how Kennedy was really killed, but the federal government wouldn't release the footage until years later. And he said that what the people have seen is different from what they saw the night of.
Well, you can tell too, because back then you had to use Kodachrome film, and for outside recording, it had to be blue film. And for indoor recording, it was red film. Same thing with pictures. Like you see them old pictures and they look reddish brown.
Yeah.
Because it was an indoor picture. All right. Well, if you're watching that Zapruder film, it's blue. Has a blue hue to it. Well, right there before that sign and through to after the car comes out on the other side, it's red. It has a red hue, which means that it was redeveloped inside. That's the only way that it can go to red like that.
I've never heard that part. Done a little juju with it, huh?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, there's so much that goes into it. If you read all the, it depends on who you read. Mark Lane, to me, he wrote 3 books, plus he did all the lecture tours. If you look at the stuff that he finds that the federal government said, no, we're not going to do, the cop that was on the motorcycle behind Kennedy went to the authorities and said, hey, the shot came from up front because I've got brain matter all over my police jacket. Do you want it? And they said no. He tries to go to the Warren Commission and have his testimony to say the shot came from the front because he got splattered with blood. Mark Lane finds out that the Warren Commission didn't want to talk to him. They talked to the motorcyclist behind Governor Conley. There's also Mark Lane found, he talked to another Dallas police officer when they went into the school book depository. The gun that they initially found was not the gun that they showed in the police headquarters in that famous photo. Because they said, because the police officer, they asked the police officer, they said, well, how do you know that it wasn't that gun? And the police officer says, I own a sporting goods store in Dallas on the weekends when I'm not a cop. And he says, I know what guns are. He said, that is not the same gun we found in the books depository that day. He said,
wow, really?
Yeah. So the Warren Commission didn't want to talk to him either.
Hey, well, according to that local writer, Travis Hughes, his story said it was a conspiracy too.
Right.
in that little short story. I don't
Well, if you
know
look at
him, but they
RFK,
say
RFK
I
was
don't
the
know him,
same
but they
way
say he's
because
pretty
when
smart
they
as
shot,
hell.
when RFK got shot, they took the door frame out of the kitchen, and the LAPD lost that one.
Yeah. It's very convenient.
That's about like the government. You know, we go to the moon back in the late '60s, and now all of a sudden we no longer have the technology to go to the moon today. They've
Well,
lost the technology.
I don't think that it was the technology. I think it's we were in a space race with Russia, and Russia was kicking our ass at everything. They were the first one to put a primate in space. There's the first one to put a human in space. There's the first one to put a rocket in space. I mean, and so there was nothing we could win at. We was like, look, man, let's get to the moon. And then if we can do that first, we can say we won. And so we went to the moon, and that's all anybody remembered. Oh, yeah, U.S. won. So now people's, the other countries are going to the moon now, but it's not like it was then. We needed to win, and we don't need to win anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but at the same time, you don't say we no longer possess the technology to go back to the moon. I mean, come on.
Well, right.
We got more technology in our pockets now than they did in entire rooms back then.
Well, right. I mean,
I agree with Travis on that 100%. I think that we were really. I think we got there, but I don't think we got there when we said we did, because I think we had to have a show of force that we were still mighty as a country. And you got to think about it. Back then, I mean, we weren't winning anything.
No,
when it came to Cold War. So we really had to show something. We really had to have a flex, and what bigger flex
than getting to another planet? Yeah, I agree with you. I'm with Matt. I'll say this. I'll say we've been to the moon, but I definitely don't think we went at the time they said we went. You know what I'm saying? Definitely.
No, I don't think so either.
But before we close this out, there's one more thing we got to talk about tonight before we close it out. And it get back. I don't know. Well, I'll say this is coincidences. We talked about some of the major ones that people talk about, but here's the one that interests me. Y'all ready for this? How many times has The Simpsons predicted the future on that show, or talked about something on that show, and it came true in real life? How many times has that happened?
I could tell you the one time that it didn't, when I put like $50 on the Bengals to win the Super Bowl, and the Rams beat them.
Well, they can't get everything right, but you have to admit they've got a lot right, and that's kind of shady.
But here's what I think about that. I think if you go through and you say a lot of crazy shit, eventually something's going to get right. Dusty, am I wrong on that?
Yeah, I was going to say, is that coincidence, or is that sort of the old joke? If you put 1,000 monkeys in a room with 1,000 typewriters, eventually they'll recreate the works of Shakespeare.
Yeah. Hey, that's an actual thing. They say that's true. They said eventually they'll type a freaking book out. It might take 1,000,000 years or something like that.
It's kind of a side story, but I wanted to get it out if you guys don't mind.
Go for it, buddy.
It's kind of a cool little story. If you've ever seen the original Wizard of Oz,
mm-hmm.
Yes.
When they finally showed the wizard, the man behind the curtain, the jacket he's wearing is not the original one the costume department had for him. The one they had for him, it either didn't fit or it ripped or something like that. So they were getting ready to shoot his scene. So they sent one of the costume people out to just try to find a jacket for him, something that would fit. So they run to this secondhand store. They find a jacket. It's about his size. They run it back there. The guy tries it on. It's a perfect fit. And that jacket shows up in the final copy of the movie. On the inside, where they used to sew like the label that it belongs to, that jacket actually belonged to L. Frank Baum, who had wrote the Wizard of Oz movie. The Wizard of Oz books.
Man.
And they showed it to his widow because they filmed the movie after his death. And she looked at it, she goes, "That's Frank's." and on the inside was
Wow.
the label where his name was, and the costumer who had grabbed it wasn't looking. They were just like, okay, this looks like it'll fit. This is about the right size, and just bought it and didn't, and just bought it and gone.
Mm-hmm.
But
That
yeah,
is,
that coat,
oh, that's
but the coat
amazing.
that he is wearing, the coat that the wizard is wearing is one of the coats that was donated by L. Frank Baum's widow after he died. And they just happened to go to the
Dang.
secondhand store where that
That
coat
reminds me.
was.
That reminds me of another story about a jacket I read in the news a couple years ago. It was in Arizona, where this kid was trying to buy a Letterman jacket, and the place in the town who did the Letterman jackets for the school had already done his name on the breast pocket and everything. He already had his letters for his football, but he didn't have enough money to get. Just like that one right there, Corky. He didn't have enough money to get it because his mom had to pay bills or something, and then they end up moving. So the jacket just got left. 35 years later, the guy's brother is in a thrift store in Utah.
Wow.
And he's going through and he finds a jacket that looked just like his brother's that he was going to buy, and it has his brother's name on it.
Wow.
And he
That is
buys it for
crazy.
$10 and sends it to him. And it was the
Man,
same
see,
jacket he ordered, but he could not get it. They found out that the place that had done the jacket had went out of business like 6 months later after they moved that from that town. So the jacket just kind of got spread out all over the place.
wow. See,
Yeah.
man, there's got to be some higher working in that, because that's just too much of a coincidence. There's got to be somebody pulling the puppet strings in the background to make something like that happen. I don't care what you say, man.
Now, here's my take on the Simpsons thing. Okay,
Dusty,
They
that's
came
a great story, Dusty. I never heard that one.
they come out first in 1990, 1991, 1989, maybe.
Yeah, I think it was 88, wasn't it?
Okay,
Yeah, they were originally part of Tracy Ullman's sketch show. They were like in between.
Yeah.
so if you start in 88, you come out with an episode once a week. Okay, that's what it used to be, right? Once a week they got a new episode.
Yeah.
Okay, if you've done that for 35 years, eventually you're going to get something right. It's just like Nostradamus. They said that he wrote so much stuff that, after something happens, then you can look through it and be like, hey, he talked about this 500 years ago, but there's nothing that he wrote that you can look at and be like, this is going to happen. This is going to happen right here.
Well, you're right, and most of that stuff I'll agree with you, because they show one where they show a woman talking on the phone, and it's got a computer screen, and she's seeing the person that she's talking to, and you got to think, with the way technology goes, yeah, eventually we're going to get something like that, right? But the fact that the main one that blows my mind is showing their version of Donald Trump going down that escalator with the same color suit on, the same color tie on, and announcing that he's running for president. That's just too much of a coincidence.
But is there proof that actually came out before that happened and not afterward?
Oh, yeah, it came out years before that happened. Yeah.
Yeah, it came out years before.
Yeah.
But I never saw that episode. I mean, I'm just saying.
You wasn't looking for it either, because, hey, give me a second, talk amongst yourself, and I'll find out. Well, no, I won't either. But anyhow, yeah, I'm pretty sure it came out like multiple years before that happened, probably 5 or 6 years.
But I'm like Dusty and Travis, though. I think if you say it so much and there's so much material, you're going to get right on something. It's like if I keep picking the same numbers in the lottery for, let's say I was to live 1,000,000 years, and I keep picking the same numbers, eventually I'm going to get those numbers.
You would think, yeah.
Listen,
but if it was me, I would still be losing 1,000,000 years later. I'd still be losing.
Yeah, me too. It's just like it. Why is it that vampires are always rich and they got this big house? Well, look, if you've lived 400 years and your ass is broke, just step into the sun.
Yeah, because you deserve to be broke.
Holy water shooter, just be done with it.
Yes.
That's right.
Go lay in a bathtub, holy water.
Yeah, talking real quick, something while you guys were talking about it. Do you remember the movie Demolition Man?
Absolutely.
Yeah. How much of that stuff did they get right? I mean, they showed the full video screens. I mean, we're doing that now. I mean, for the most part,
Yeah.
there's no three seashells, but you've got, they had cameras on every street. They had cameras on every road where you could dial in and you could see any part of the city at any time. And when we were kids back then, going, yeah, that ain't gonna happen. And now, there are several cities that you've got a camera on every street corner. They can see what's going on in real time.
Well, look at Michael Knight from Knight Rider talking into his watch.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
that was what,
yeah.
83? I mean,
And yeah,
Talking
and
to his
Kit
car.
drives himself. There's
Yeah.
cars that drive. That's everything. A Tesla is Kit.
yeah.
If you think about
So
it, really.
I think
I never
if you
thought about
talk
that,
about
Matt. That's
except
pretty good.
Except Kid was not
We're-
suicidal and drove you head on into oncoming traffic.
But I think if you talk about something so much and you write about stuff so much, you put so much content out there, like the Nostradamus thing, I think you're going to eventually find yourself, you're going to look back and say, man, that dude was right.
Yeah. But that's the thing. You've got to always look back. There's nothing
Yeah.
you can read his and be like, oh, man, this shit's going to happen in New Jersey on this date.
Yeah.
He didn't know what the hell
Are there
New Jersey
people
was.
that can predict the future? Yeah, 100% there's people that can predict the future. If you can predict the future, that means the future's already written. Are they coincidences? No, there's no such thing as coincidences. I don't feel. I think everything is in synchronicity where everything's meant to happen a certain way. That's just me. Is it supernatural? Yeah. Are they things that cannot be explained? Absolutely.
Yeah, Nostradamus it's almost like he wrote in the same way that trying to read the book of Revelation in the Bible, like, they were trying, he was trying to describe things that he was supposedly seeing, but like you said, Travis, it's after it happens, you look back and you go, oh, okay, the cross the river Whistler, and it turns out he was writing about Hitler and he was off by one letter, or
History.
history, yeah. But again, it's already after it happened that you look back and you see where the symbolism that he was writing about matches up, because he didn't have the words to describe this stuff.
But
Well,
if you
right,
look
but
hard enough,
just
you're
like-
going to match. Your brain's going to match things up. If you look hard enough and you want it to happen, you're going to make those connections, even if they're that far away. You're still going to make those connections because you want to.
Well,
Right.
just like Revelation, though, it says that there's flying scorpions that's shooting fire from the mouth like a dragon, roaring like a lion. That sounds a whole lot like a helicopter to me.
Mhm.
That he wasn't
Or
predicting
something.
He wasn't predicting helicopters. Well, I mean, look at a helicopter. The tail comes up like a scorpion. They
Yeah.
shoot fire. They say they're loud. That's a roar. He was just using what he knew in his time to explain what he was seeing.
Yeah, because they had no idea what a helicopter, or they couldn't
No.
even fathom a helicopter or a jet,
Well, it'd be like us trying to write about something 60, 70 years from now that we
Exactly.
How would you describe it? And people would be like, well, this shit ain't real. But maybe 60 years from now it is.
Exactly.
Right.
Travis, that episode of The Simpsons came out in the year 2000, 16 years earlier than when Trump ran for president. So,
But
So what do we
it
think?
was also,
Go ahead, Dust.
Go ahead, Dustin.
oh no, I was gonna say, I'm sorry, but it was kind of a fair thing, because I mean, Trump, even when he was a young guy, and you can absolutely see Don Jr. and Eric when Donald was younger, he was on Oprah Winfrey back in the 80s and 90s talking about running for president. So I mean, it wasn't that far fetched at the time.
And
He'd been talking-
as a Republican.
Yeah.
He
So,
was,
I mean, if
I
you
think
say
Barbara
the
Walters
Simpsons-
interviewed him too.
I mean, if you say the Simpsons got it right, I mean, hell, it's like I said again, you keep throwing stuff out there, you're going to get right eventually.
Exactly. Especially when it comes to some of the stuff they've got right, like as far as the technology they've predicted or, had episodes about. The only thing that does strike me funny is the Donald Trump stuff. But even that, you could say, yeah, this guy's probably going to run for president in a few years. How they got coming down the escalator in the same clothes, I'll never know.
There is a book, and I cannot remember the name of it. Dusty, see if you can help me here. It's a book that was written in I think it was 1900, and they're talking about
Aaron Trump.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That book was written almost over 100 years ago, and that book scares me.
Yeah,
because it is
I brought it up. I
dangerously
brought it up
accurate.
in a couple of podcasts ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, you want to talk about coincidences or synchronicity, or let's forget coincidence, synchronicity. Go read that book
What's it
because
called?
what is it called, Travis?
Something, The Adventures of Baron Trump, something like that.
Yes.
It was wrote in
Yes.
1901.
So what do we think? Baron Trump's going to be the Antichrist or something like that?
No, it's
No,
just it's a
it
reflection of a family going into
it
what
talks
presidency.
about, well, his son is Baron, his name Baron, his youngest.
Yeah.
And eventually it talks about like eventually that guy becomes the leader of the world or something like it's something weird, but it's you have to.
That's what I'm saying. Is Baron
read it
Trump
to
going to
you.
become the next president one of these days or something like that? And if that's one, I'll be like, "What's up?" You know?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think if you read that book, you would say what's up because that book is dangerously
I think
accurate.
I'll see if I can get a hold of that book and see if I can read it. Of
Yeah, you
course,
can
I don't
find it
read.
on eBay.
I'll listen to it. You know, I ain't trying to read for nobody, but I'll definitely give it a listen while I'm at work.
Well,
You know.
I guess that tells us who that he's not bought any of our stories, Matt.
Yeah, I know.
Well, you know what? If you look behind me, right there by the Freddie glove,
Womp womp.
I've got y'all's books stacked right there. I
Okay.
support y'all, but you know, I just can't read. You know,
And the spine ain't even cracked on it, Matt.
no, they're gonna be brand new, baby. You know,
And we wonder why Betsy Ross was orange.
God, God,
You want me to sign that book? You want me to sign that copy for you, Corp?
yeah, I'm gonna bring it to you, and I'm gonna let you put a little handprint on it. You know what I'm saying?
That way it can at least,
I
get
forgot
the crack
about
in the
Betsy
spine.
Ross, Felicity.
You know what? Let me explain something real quick. The reason I wanted to color Betsy Ross orange, because in my first grade head, I thought if I colored real lightly, it would look like peach colored skin. Because, you know, you were supposed to color Caucasians peach, and we were Caucasians. You know what I'm saying?
What do you mean,
So,
peach? Who told
well,
you that?
you have a peach crayon. You don't color us white because the
The hell
paper's
you
white.
don't? You don't
You
color
have a
nobody peach.
look. It's like this. White people are colored peach. That's how I was taught. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I don't color Indians red when I was a kid. You know
No,
what I'm saying?
no.
I didn't either. I didn't
I left
either.
them
You
white.
use kind of a khaki on the Indians maybe. You
I
know
don't
what I'm
think
saying?
that color
No,
frog
a khaki
orange or
is-
blue.
Khakis is what, drunk Bostons are looking for at the bar. You see my khakis? I gotta go. I see my khakis.
Well, you know what? Here's what it boils down to. I didn't have the 64 pack of Crayola crayons with a sharpener in the bottom. I had the Rose Art 50-cent 12 color pack, and I was doing the best I could do, and I failed the first grade because of it. So
Hey,
there.
those crayons were like trying to color with a candle.
God, there was nothing but wax. They were
That's
hardly
all
any
they
color
were.
would even come off on the paper, man.
Laffy
Oh.
Taffy.
God, I hate it. When somebody brought me rose art, I was like, man.
Get these out of here, dude.
It was like the old movie. It was like the old Victorian movies where they're sealing it. You had to hold a candle under the crayon to warm it up so you could color it.
Dude, do you seriously not remember what a Rose Art crayon looked? Dude, they were shiny. They had so much wax in them. They were shiny. And they didn't color at all.
Rose Art.
I don't know
crayons
what they're
was,
like now, but man, back in the day, those crayons were the absolute worst. If you got
Yeah.
rose art crayons, you might as well just let somebody spit in your face.
First off, if you got Rose Art crayons, you were poor, and everybody knew you were poor.
Well, yeah,
and if you couldn't afford Crayola crayons, you was just poor. That's all it boiled down to, man.
Rose Art was the equivalent to going to Kmart and buying Champion brand shirts.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
and now Champion's trying to be all expensive and crap. What's up with that?
Yeah. Kids now is like, I got Champion. I was like, yeah, well, you had to know how to fight if you wore something like that in high school.
Yeah, if you wore Champion to school back then, you was getting beat up before you come home at night.
Well, remember back then you'd wear Puma, and Puma was like just a terrible brand. You know, like, oh my God, you're wearing Puma.
Yeah, and they're the same.
And,
and the owner of Puma, or the creator of Puma, and the creator of Adidas are brothers.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yeah, they had a company. They was in Adidas, and one brother, when they inherited it, one brother was wanting to do it this way, and the other one was like, "No, we need to keep it like this." And they had a falling out, and so dude bought his half out, and with that, he created Puma and did what he wanted.
There's no way I would ever take on Dusty and Travis in any sort of trivia.
No.
As much shit as I know, I would still not go against those two.
No, because they know facts that nobody knows. You know what I'm saying?
They're like the fact checkers of the fact checkers, man.
Daniel's pretty freaking good too.
Dusty and Travis, man, I'm not messing with those guys. They'll get you.
Yeah. Yeah, especially when it comes to historical facts, I'll just sit back and listen. I don't even try to get in on that conversation.
Yeah, if it's useless information, I've got you.
No, Dusty and Travis, those two right there, I could sit and just listen to them two talk, and I feel like I've got a PhD after I got done talking to them.
It's like, am I even supposed to be on this podcast?
Well, here's what you could do. You could find a way for us to make money with this kind of useless knowledge.
Well, you know what? I'm doing my best, man. I'm getting us out there. You know, maybe one of these days we'll get a deal. We'll just find out and see.
I tell you, Dusty and Travis, man, I tell you what, we need to get you guys to Jeopardy somehow.
I took my test one time, and they didn't even tell me if I passed or failed. I'm guessing I failed. It was 5 questions, and they were the 5 hardest questions I've ever tried to answer in my life. Like, I didn't even get an email back after.
How do they know you didn't cheat to answer them though?
You only have so many seconds to answer each question.
Oh,
and it's like in a 5-minute window too. Like you don't have time to cheat. These are questions that I never even knew existed, dude. Like the stuff they were asking, I was like, what are you talking about?
Dusty, have you ever tried to do Jeopardy questions? You ever tried that?
I haven't. Back when she was still alive, Hazel kept trying to push me to try out for it, and I never did. Looking at I was told that the screening process, there's several layers. Like you got to win like a bunch of preliminaries before you even get to be on the show, and you
got to do a screen test. Like after those 5 questions, then you take another test. I think you've got to pass 3 written tests, and then they invite you out there to like he said, it's just like little mock shows, but they record them. Nobody ever sees them. They want to see what you look like on TV. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
Yeah.
So you can't go in there looking like, Ron Howard's brother, Clint Howard. You can't go in there and be like, I'm smart. Yeah, sure you are.
Yeah, you can't go in there all humpbacked out, baby.
Dude, I've never seen anybody on Jeopardy in a wheelchair.
Yeah, well, they ain't tall enough. They ain't tall enough to reach the microphone, Matt.
But dude, there's people out there super smart in wheelchairs, and Jeopardy I don't think has ever had one. At least I've never seen one.
Well, you've got to be this tall to ride this ride, man. You know what I'm saying?
I think they should have one.
We need to fact check that, man.
Fact check that for me, because if not, shame on Jeopardy.
Yeah,
that
freaking Jeopardy.
If they have overlooked somebody in a damn wheelchair that is super smart just because it didn't fit their little paradigm, something's wrong.
Yeah, they got wheelchairs now. You can push a button; it'll make you just as tall as everybody else.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna stand you up.
That's what I'm saying. I want to fact check that, somebody, because I'm trying.
I'm doing it right now.
Because I've never seen. I watched Jeopardy there for a lot.
Oh, I'm always the smartest guy in my living room when I'm watching Jeopardy. It's always just me by myself. But
Dusty, you look disheveled, man. What's wrong?
8 hours in powder coat, hour and a half in the gym, came home, and I was literally had thrown dinner in the oven whenever you guys texted me that we were starting a podcast.
Damn.
So I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off. Came home, had long enough time to grab a drink and had to go get the kids and come back, and then had to deal with Rachel for like 30 minutes, which is 30 minutes of my life I'll never get back. And
Dang.
yeah, so and that
You're
just
very honest. I figured that was something wrong.
delayed everything. It dealing with her, I would honestly rather wipe my butt with a green pine cone than deal with her for any extended length of time.
Yeah,
That's
boy.
Fantastic.
that Jimmy Johnson hair.
Matt, the 7 years ago, the champion was in a wheelchair.
Really?
It says actually there is a chair behind one of the podiums for any contestant who is unable to stand.
Really? Well,
Yeah, so back off of Jeopardy, Matt.
good for
Yeah.
them. I'm glad they did the right thing.
You on your way to Canada to desecrate Alex Trebek's
I
grave
was.
for nothing.
I was
Yeah.
going
It's already been struck by lightning.
I was going to go up there and just kick his tombstone down, man.
Well, then
Dang.
he'd probably die from the same thing Jack Daniels did. He couldn't get into his safe. He kicked it, and he got blood poisoned because
Yeah.
he broke his toe.
See,
Was it,
another
blood,
word-
was it blood poison or a blood clot?
It was blood poison, and you
Sepsis,
know what would have fixed it?
What?
Damn, if he could have poured Jack Daniels on it, it would have the alcohol in it would have cleaned it. That's a
Now,
true story.
hey,
Yep.
is that a strange coincidence?
That's ironic.
Yeah.
That's
What's our
That's like
for
when,
really
Joey
irony is the
Tribbiani, when Joey Tribbiani fell down in the ladder when he was Drake Ramore on Friends. They was like the only one that could have saved his life because he was a brain surgeon was him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
well, I mean,
Golly.
for years, the Jack Daniels distillery, the county it was in was completely dry. Like you couldn't even.
Yeah.
Couldn't even get by beer.
No.
That's
Yeah, I
irony.
heard that one before, Dusty. I heard that one before.
That's
All
irony.
right.
But now it's good for Jeopardy for doing that, though. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I'm
All
glad
right,
you're
Jeff.
happy. I'm happy
Well, guys,
that they were conscientious about that.
Yeah. I think we've covered most of everything tonight. What do you guys think?
Oh man, great show tonight.
I still don't
Yeah.
know if it's coincidences or there's a higher power at work. What do you guys think?
Oh, I don't believe in coincidences at all. You know me.
No, I
think
don't either. I'm gonna go ahead and say it, Matt. I don't believe in coincidences. Everything happens for a reason.
Everything happens
No,
for a reason, man. Bad or good. I don't now. I'm going to tell you something. Before we go, I'm going to use up some time here.
Use it.
No, I don't understand why bad shit happens to good people. I don't know. Okay, I don't know, because when somebody gets, somebody's 16-year-old daughter gets killed in a car wreck or something, I don't understand why that happens. I don't. But I do think there's a reason for everything, even the horrific stuff. I think there's a reason. I don't. My mind cannot comprehend that. I don't understand it. I don't think we'll ever. I just don't know. But I do
That's a
believe
tough question.
I think that's where
what-
faith comes in.
Well,
Yeah,
but that's
exactly.
that's where what Neil deGrasse Tyson says is, all right, everybody says God is all knowing and he's all good. Okay. Well, either like stuff like that to happen, both of those can't be true, is what he says. You know what I'm saying?
Neil
Because he
deGrasse, I
could've-
disagree a lot with Neil deGrasse Tyson. So
Well, now,
I'll leave that there.
Now he said he believes in God, but I mean, if you use logical thinking, I mean, he's not far off.
yeah,
I've seen things in my life connected to God that I don't tell everybody.
right.
I know I told Corky a story, but I've seen it firsthand. When somebody says, "Well, I don't believe in God," and I'm like, "Well, I'm going to tell you a story that happened to me," and I'd always believed in God, but it fortified it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Galvanized it. So when you have stuff happen to you that there's no other way it could have happened logically, there's your answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, some stuff you can't explain, man. Some stuff that the only reason that this worked out the way it worked out, or the only reason I'm still here, or the only reason, this worked out There has to be a higher power. And anybody, here's how I explain it when somebody says, hey, man, there's no God. Because we've done explain it. The Big Bang happened, all this other stuff. Well, look, nothing comes from nothing. Okay, like nothing. There's nothing, and then all of a sudden nothing blows up. You know what I'm saying? That's not how it works. So maybe there was some gases out there, but maybe God made those gases. You know what I'm saying? But all of a sudden there was nothing, and all of a sudden nothing blew up. That's not how it works. So however you want to look at it, nothing comes from nothing. Something had to start all this, and I believe that's God. You know what I'm saying?
Dusty?
I mean, you guys haven't said anything that I can add to. I mean, they like to say that everything, all the matter in the universe was compressed down to a singularity, that all the matter that is was in this tiny infinitesimal little dot, and then just boom. Where did the dot come from?
Exactly.
And there's some questions I don't think we're going to get an answer to in this life. Like, why do the closest I've ever got to getting an answer that I liked was on a movie, and it was one of those I'm kind of half watching this movie kind of deal, but one of the characters was played by Dean Cain, and he was this very rich, affluent snob, complete opposite the way he is, I guess, in normal life, because apparently he's a very devout guy. But his mother who was a very devout Christian, and he told her, where's your God that allows you to do this? You're suffering from dementia. You're, about to lose your home. You're sick. And I've got a brand new BMW I paid for in cash and a, $1 million home and all that kind of stuff. And she goes, the devil knows how to make a great cage.
Exactly.
And that's
Praise God.
a good thing, count the devil.
If you believe in God, you got to believe in the devil.
I've said that a lot. There's a lot of churches that these days that they have gotten away from talking about that.
Exactly, and that's bullcrap.
They don't want to talk about it because they don't want to remind people that you can't continue to make bad choices. That there's going to eventually come a reckoning, whether you like it or not.
Mm-hmm.
But now a lot of people put the devil on the same tier as God, and it's nowhere close. That's you can't.
No, sir, you can't.
That's why I think it's. I think when bad things happen to good people, I don't think it's. I don't think God. People say, "Well, God allowed this to happen." Well, I don't think it works that way. I don't think that's how it works. I'm going to tell you something. I mean, I've prayed for things in my life, and God's always come through in the clutch, man. But he's not a genie out of a bottle. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I think people get that because they'll be like, I talked to God about this and it didn't happen. Well, I don't know.
Maybe it wasn't meant to happen.
Well, right. But look at Job. Job lost everything that he ever had because God allowed it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So if something bad happens, it's because God allowed it to happen. It says it right there in the Bible.
Because he could stop anything he wants to stop.
Right. So that's the point he was making is everybody says he's always good. He's always all knowing. Well, people dying for no reason like that ain't good. You know what I'm saying? But he still allowed it to happen.
Well, it's not good in our eyes, but if they die and they're in his presence and there's no more pain or no more, it's good in his eyes though,
Yeah, well, right.
Well, God, I think the story of Job, God was trying to prove a point because the devil said, well, if you take this hedge away from him, if you remove all these good things he's got in his life, he's going to curse you just like anybody else. And
exactly.
Job never did.
Well,
Job never did. And everything was restored to him.
He was proving a point, but Job was a pawn. You know what I'm saying? He's like, yeah, he's going to stay faithful to me. I don't care what you do to him. You just can't kill him. You can kill everything around him. I mean, that ain't great. You know what I mean? I mean, yeah, he got paid back later, but you know what I'm saying? I mean, that ain't cool. to me.
Well, that's why they say there, in life there'll be valleys and mountaintops, and God never says every day will be good, But
Hey, I'm
what he
going.
does say is he'll maintain you and keep you where you need to be. So
I try my best every day, and I try my best every day not to piss God off.
yeah.
I mean, I'm not even joking. I'm not. I mean, I when I drive to work in the mornings, that is 20, 25 minutes of me talking to God. That's
Yeah.
my time. And that is the deepest meditation I will ever have in my day. And I know everything can be taken away from me in a matter of seconds. I understand
Like that. Yeah.
I'm conscious of that. So I'm very thankful of everything I have. And I try to live my life to where I don't want to piss God off, where he's like, well, I'm going to show you something. Because I don't
Exactly.
want that to happen to me.
Oh, he's been showing me what sciatic pain is for 5 weeks. Like, please
Yeah.
stop it. I've learned my lesson.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, good times. Well, I think that's a good way to wrap it up, guys. I think we had a good show, and I want to tell
I
everybody.
think one of our best ones.
Yeah, man, it's a good show. And starting next week, we're gonna starting October next week, right? So we're going to try to
Yeah.
I said we want to try to keep everything spooky in October. So I know I'm going to be talking about Brock Holler. Overwhelming. I posted some stuff on our page on Facebook and asked some people, and dude, it was amazing at the amount of people that wanted me to talk about Brock Hollow. So I don't know what the rest of the guys will talk about, but I know I'm going to talk about it. That's going to be the first show in our campfire series next week. And then for the other 3 shows, they're all going to be something spooky in October. So be sure to tune in for that. And for the rest of us, we're going to get on out of here, and we'll say, see you, bye.
Yeah, they tuned in, it's the Dude Bash rolling deep. Mic check like that, fine, let's hit a beat. Voices flowing like the river, knowledge on the spree. Every episode of Journey, come ride with me. Just hit play, it's a vibe, can't you see? The Dude Bash, we breaking it down. From the underground to the top of the town. Laughs and facts, intertwined.